My name is Hadley I am a senior immigration attorney at the immigration law offices, and I have Associate Attorney Leila Parvis here. Leila is an immigration attorney who specializes in some very unique immigration processes. Leila, tell us about yourself. How long have you been practicing law in your niche fields?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Attorney Leila Parviz. I have been an attorney for 7 years, going into 8 years. And it was just as if yesterday. And,
Well, congratulations.
I started with immigration, and very early on when I started immigration, I had the opportunity to work with children, and I decided to expand my practice law and then with children. And then I niched out this whole immigration process with children, and that's one of my area on a complete spectrum. Because I speak Farsi and I'm an Iranian national, I was helping Hadley with some of the Farsi speaking clients in the business cases. And as a result of that, I kind of get familiar with the lingo and everything. So now I'm also doing the business cases and employment cases here at the law firm. My passion for children led me to special immigrant juvenile cases. We are an immigration law firm. This is our specialty, and that's the beauty of us, because we are familiar with a lot of large spectrum of immigration cases and can help with different needs.
Yes, and so it's about the time of year that we're closing the end of a school year. And also we have coming up next week the H-1B lottery. And it's when people start trying to figure out what they're going to do, especially after finishing the bachelor's program as a foreign student. Leila and I wanted to take, all of our knowledge and experience and do a podcast for people who are trying to figure out what to do if they are here, not only on an F1 visa, which is the student visa, but also if they're here as a tourist, maybe trying to figure out how to remain in the US and build a business here. I could open it up to more classifications, but for these business things that we're going to talk about today, it really only works for people who have a status. Now, there are some exceptions. And, if you want to talk to us about it, like if you're in DACA, we recommend that you make an appointment with us. Our consultations, our strategy sessions are free. So, Leila, what do you think people are thinking when they're ending their bachelor's degrees? Let's just say somebody is in a STEM program like math, engineering, science, technology, versus somebody who might be a comparative lit grad.
Planning your next move in terms of immigration options, especially if you're an F1, is very important. With the F1, you start you have to, you can say, oh, I have 4 more years, 2 more years, but these times go quick. So you want to have a plan from the beginning as to what to do. We're going to talk about H-1B for the most part here, but as you know, H-1B is based on the lottery, it has a cap. So we want to make sure that, okay, just in case the lottery didn't work out, what are your options as well? And you want to have a plan for that. First, we're going to talk about, okay, so one of the plans is it starts with, okay, I got to put myself in lottery and hope for the best, pray for the best that, you get selected. But what if you don't? How do you think about anything else? And the thing with the lottery is that it's also very time sensitive, because there is a very limited windows, like March 6th till March 25. So you want to have everything ready and work with your employer, of course, to put your name for the lottery.
What about being in OPT first. Some people have 1 year, some have 3 years of OPT.
Mm-hmm.
If you're graduating from your bachelor's program, you want to go into the lottery every possible opportunity, but it requires having an employer first. Typically, people get 1 year of OPT, and if they're in a STEM field, they get 3 total, and so we always encourage everybody to file every time, not wait till their 3rd year, because if you file for the lottery 3 times, you have 3 times better chances. It's the same, how do you win the big pot of California in a lottery? Increase your chances by entering 3 times. Layla, maybe we should tell people more about what the lottery is. I don't know if everybody knows what the H-1B is and why that's the option that we're focusing on.
The reason we are focusing on this option is because right now it's the season of it. And this season, it starts with like enter this lottery. And once that time fails that I mentioned, March 6th to March 25, then you have to wait for the next year. So it's very time sensitive. But starting tomorrow, you can actually start building your account. You cannot submit, but you can start building the account. But it's a very good visa, which you can benefit from through your employer.
And the dual intent, yes, that's another reason why we want people to go for dual intent. Dual intent means that you can have temporary or permanent intent. So you can move into a green card through an H-1B, where other visa types that we'll talk about in a moment aren't really allowing you to plan to be here permanently. With the H-1B, it's like, yeah, go ahead and plan. Go ahead and file your green card case. Is that a good way to describe it? Dual intent versus? I'm trying to make it layman.
Yeah, you don't have to have those strategies. With H-1B, there are more actions.
Yeah.
There are very few visas that allow you to be open about your plan.
Yeah, having an H-1B now is like you hit the gold, because if you have an H-1B, you have a way to stay in the US for 6 years and work. And then if you apply for a green card and that visa for that green card is not available, you can go beyond 6 years. And people really fight for those H-1Bs. Back in 2010, we never hit the cap. So there are 85,000 H-1Bs. 65,000, are designated for people with the bachelor degree level. And that's one of the things that make the H-1B the H-1B. It has to be a specialty occupation, which can generally be described as having a bachelor's degree as the candidate, and the job requires a bachelor's degree. So the first 65,000 are for that specialized occupation. The next 20,000 are for master level applicants and jobs. Well, the job doesn't necessarily have to be a master's level. But anyway, so you have a total of 85,000. The number of H-1Bs that are available were decided in 1996. That was 30 years ago. The job market's completely expanded and changed since then. And so it needs reform. There are not enough H-1Bs. So every year there are about 400,000 applicants. So you have we're getting around, and I'm sure there'll be more this year, 1 in 5 chances of getting selected in that lottery. So that's why you've hit a pot of gold if you get selected in the lottery. Every year we submit people, maybe have 1 or 2 selected. I don't know about tech industry and bigger firms. It's supposed to be completely random. It's supposed to be completely random. If you're selected, then you apply. And, at that point, the USCIS really digs in to determining whether or not it's actually a specialty occupation. They deny people over the summer and open up those numbers again if you weren't selected by April, you might have another chance in August. Yeah.
It's
But
important to know getting selected in the lottery is just like the beginning. It doesn't mean anything. You have to go through the process of applying for the H-1B process by completing the form I-129 and, as Hadley mentioned, go through the scrutiny of proving the specialty occupation.
and then for people who are in F1 and maybe their OPT ran out, there's something called F1 OPT cap gap, which allows people to bridge their OPT until October. Well, actually, they expanded it till April. I believe it's April. So if you have F1 OPT and OPT normally expires at the end of a school year. So somebody who has OPT expires, say, in June. If you have a selected lottery application and you submitted your H-1B, then you're auto extended for work authorization now until April, or if your H-1B is approved or denied. And, that H-1B will either, if approved, become your new work authorization. If denied, then you no longer have that auto extension. Fun fact. For those of you didn't know. But the H-1B is a great visa that's just incredibly difficult. Of the total workforce, like 0.0001% has H-1Bs. Politically, people say they take jobs, but they don't. H-1B holders make up less than 1%, like 0.01. We did the math, and it was negligible how many jobs H-1B holders have
Yeah. And
of the entire world.
I think, because, as immigration lawyers, we are like, everything is hot news for us these days of this administration that we are. And not to be political, but I think that's the only area that Trump and Elon Musk might have a slight disagreement.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, if
very
we can get a H-1Bs from Elon, I'm like, let's do something good. I mean, that we could, because, like the beginning of the week, we started hearing about the gold Trump investor visa, and we're like, what is that?
Yeah.
We don't know yet, people, but my joke is, why pay 1.8 million for an investor visa when you can pay 5 million? Because it already exists. We already have it. And a lot of the stuff that people are complaining about and afraid of, like you were telling me this earlier, Leila, it's always been in the law. These requirements are being being magnified. But the H-1B season is here, is upon us. The fee, what is the fee to register for an H-1B?
It used to be $10, but they raised it this year. Is 215 or 25?
It's 15.
Yeah.
So just we were planning on $10 all year and talking to people about, oh, you should join the lottery, put your specialty occupation people in the lottery this year. It's only $10, and then wham, 215.
And
like that.
this year they kind of made it, to avoid like frauds and things like that. They assigned a specific identification number to each person.
Okay.
So just to, minimize the fraud and things like that, so that to avoid the controversy we had in prior years with all those H-1B frauds, which created difficulty for a lot of applicants when they were going to their interviews and created problem in their immigration situation.
What do we do for people not selected in the lottery or may not qualify for an H-1B?
So we go through their background history to see how we can fit them in other visa options that is available. As you always say, there is an A to Z to immigration visa. So to see which one could be good for this person. So one of the
Heard one would call it alphabet soup.
alphabet soup.
Mhm.
So one of the ones is, if you are in Mexican or Canadian national, a TN visa could be an option for you. If you have yeah, if you have if you have an entrepreneurial endeavors and like thinking about that, um, have your business or thinking about opening a business, you can do E2. And then why don't you talk about the O's, Hadley?
Yeah, I mean, there's extraordinary ability visas that allow people to self-petition, but maybe with an agent or as an employee as well, apply for visas that are not capped. Well, they might have a cap, but they don't reach the cap. So they require that you show accomplishment, like if you're an artist, commercial sales or commercial exhibitions, or movie stars have to show, what roles they played in projects with distinguished reputations. There's an O1 that allows for business investment. I thought we could talk about and showcase the investor type non-immigrant visas for a moment. We have the E2, which is available to countries that have treaties of commerce and navigation with the United States. For example, Mexico, Canada, but not any of the Central American countries. Then we have the O1, which allows people who have accomplishments that rise to this extraordinary level who can invest as well. But then suddenly we learned about this new H1B that also allows you to join the lottery and apply if you want to start your own business. Have we heard anything more about that, Layla?
No, it's going to be a new experiment project for everybody, recognizing even by immigration, the spirit of entrepreneurship and expanding immigration option for people who want to like have their own business. So really, it's just like the matter of taking advantage of every single opportunity available to you, because immigration, especially for the next 4 years, is not going to get easy. It's going to get harder. And you want to have options available to you. And I think the H1Bs, like for the startups that just develop, is a good thing. You still have to go through the lottery, but it's a good effort.
Yeah. That means you don't have to have an employer. With every other H1B, you have to have an employer.
Yeah.
You have a private industry employer, you have to go through this lottery. If you have a university higher education employer or can prove ties to a higher education employer, then you are cap exempt and you don't have to go through the lottery. So this is how universities across the country are able to bring in scholars and researchers from around the world. They also have the J1 program. It's interesting they threw this H1B in, but, that means they have to compete, with all the other people for those 85,000 visas. I guess after the lottery ends and we have more information, we can come back and talk about it. It's going to take an act of Congress to get more H1Bs. As long as people believe H1B holders are taking jobs from US citizens, it's going to be rough. The truth is they don't.
Yeah. Speaking of the H1B and the caps and the numbers that we talked earlier, it is also interesting that out of all those numbers and caps, there's all like 6,800 of them are dedicated for national of Chile and Singapore. So that's an interesting fact to know.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're used. I mean, we've had one or two people over the years in that visa type. Maybe other law firms specialize in it. But of all of the visa types, I think E2 is my favorite. What do you think?
Yes, E2 is my favorite too. It's because I also work on it.
What do you like about them?
Yeah, especially with our focus on a specialty, which we work with a lot of people that want to start a new business, like a startup type, and working with them and the enthusiasm and helping them, opening this opportunity for them here in the United States. I also like that. It's one of the few visas that you have like a special line of communication with embassies. So,
Oh, there yeah. Mhm.
so like, and, in Mexico, like there is actually a separate line when you even want to enter the embassy, which has like this whole big line just to enter the embassy. So these are just like outside, but it also has great immigration benefits. And one of them is one of my favorite part about the E2 is the fact that, when you bring your spouse as your dependent, they're going to have automatic work authorization. And this is just like unheard of. The other day I was talking to somebody, they were on TN and I just, at the beginning, I didn't know that I know they're on some sort of visa, but I don't know what type. And then I just like innocently asked, so from the spouse, okay, so what do you do? It's like, well, I can work. I'm the spouse of a TN holder. So that's where it makes sense. The value of the E2 come.
Yeah.
That's also,
Yeah, because how can't work on TN, O1, H1B. Well, H1B, there's an exception, but it takes time. But yeah, that E2 work authorization is incredible.
that's another beauty where we can strategize because a lot of times when people talk to us, that the person that is like heavily in the business, they say we want to be the E2 main applicant. And then, we talk to them and we figure out also spouse has some talents and abilities that can easily run a certain business. So that would be then to say, okay, let's do the E2 on your side with you. You be the main applicant so that your spouse, the other person who is like heavily involved in the business and successful and whatever, be the free agent and can do
Yeah.
whatever they want. That's the benefit of working with attorneys because one size does not fit all.
People don't know their businesses can qualify. We're helping great companies start and grow. I mean, the one that you had approved yesterday was an interior design and products business.
Yes.
And I love this company. They're out of Bahia de Bravo, outside of Mexico City. And they have that Mexican modernism aesthetic. And I'm so excited that her business is going to come to the US now through the E2 investor program. So that's my most recent favorite. What are some businesses that might surprise people?
Mhm.
We've had a couple marketing businesses.
Marketing and like, consulting, that's like another of our expertise. So for the lower investment and consulting in any areas is like something that we are specialized and have had success with and it's like some of those things that, we are willing to give opportunities because a lot of times you're not touching the scales if you don't invest more than $150,000. And we all know that there's
Mhm.
a magic number. It's a substantial investment based on the proportionality. And because of that, we have justifies a lot of lower investment E2s that otherwise they would not have had opportunity to come here and do their business and start their life.
Last year, we were talking to some people that were in like an MBA program, like a postgraduate. And somebody said to me in one of those programs, if I had known that the investment was like so low for an E2, I would have invested in a business and not in a graduate degree.
Exactly.
And that was really impactful. Yeah, because when you're going to a graduate degree as a foreign student, like an international student, you're paying $30,000-$40,000 a year. In some cases, not all. And that's what you need to invest in a non-heavy capital business, right? Like a lot of these consulting businesses are between 30, 40,000. So it's something for people, that are graduating this year to consider. If you're from one of the countries that's eligible for E2, the E2 is an excellent way to, carry out your education and apply it and build your own business. The United States is built on small businesses. And it's not going away with the Trump administration because Trump wants foreign investment. He made that clear the other day.
Yes. Even in the prior administration, E2 visa used to be 1 year for Mexican national, and then they
Right.
changed it to 4 years.
Yeah.
When it comes to that department, there are some favorability.
Back then, before it was 1 year, I started an office in Mexico City and people were not interested. When it changed to 4 years, people didn't believe us. They didn't think that there was that kind of a visa. And I think there's still some of that in the community. People in Mexico with businesses still enter the US with B1, B2s to conduct business. And they even open LLCs and companies. And that's very dangerous because there's a very gray, meaning it's not black and white, whether you can conduct business in the US on a B1, B2. And, once a month, probably we hear about somebody losing their B1, B2 or violating it. Once somebody loses their B1, B2 visa, we cannot get it back. We can't even go to an E2. It's important to be on the right visa type. For many countries, you have the E2. And now the O1. The O1 allows people from any country to start a business, but the government wants to see accomplishment, success, to know that the business will be successful when you arrive in the US.
Yeah. Your immediate homework is to talk to your employer if you haven't already and put your name for the lottery.
Yeah.
The immediate.
And talk to attorney.
Yes.
There are many immigration attorneys that are in business and that will provide you with the free consultation. Leila and I are two of them. You may reach out to us and we'll get on the phone with you to talk to young entrepreneurs and figure out how their businesses will work. I think we probably successfully helped more than 100 businesses start in the United States from countries around the world, Mongolia, Canada, Mexico, of course, the UK, just all over the world. So please reach out to us. And, for anything, for any immigration type, to meet with an attorney and plan is the best way to prepare for your future in the United States. Thank you for listening. If you want more information, please reach out. We're focusing on business today. Listen to us tomorrow if you're worried about the political climate for other visa types. Today, Leila and I wanted to talk to you about business visa options. Thank you, everybody, and especially those of you who are graduating and are looking for their future in the United States. We're here for you. Thank you and have a great day.